Hey, what's happening? It's Bill Smith. We're going to talk about the death of Azaria Chamberlain, also known as A Dingo Ate My Baby. This happened back in 1980 in the Australian outback at a place called, now it's called Uluru. It's U-L-U-R-U, also known as Ayers Rock, A-Y-E-R-S Rock. It's a campground in the middle of nowhere. I mean, look, here's a picture of her and the kid. This baby, right? See how they are literally in the middle of nowhere. It's like they're in the Nevada desert, Australian outback. There's no one around, you know what I mean? So that's where she died. Now, so this little baby, right, was only about 2 months old. And she was murdered. And it ended up being an international story. Okay, the American press was fascinated with this because this woman right here, the mother, her name was Lindy. Lindy and Michael Chamberlain were the parents. Lindy said that sometime in the night they were in a tent and a dingo, so a dog and a wild dog in the outback, came and stole her baby away. Okay, now there's an issue here that I ran up against. They didn't find any remains of this kid. They never recovered the body. They never recovered anything. Okay? They never recovered booties, shoes, a dress, nothing. They never recovered this child's body. Now, for an entire human baby to be eaten by dogs and not have anything left over, no bones, no skull, nothing, is impossible. So I won't waste your time. I'll just talk about this real quick because there's so much here. I don't even know what's important. All I know is Marina Abramovic was at this place. Okay, she was in the Australian outback with that Uluru guy, you know, her German art buddy, right? Husband, partner, whatever you want to call him. They were there. What are the odds, right? What are the odds? This is literally from the New York Times, 1986, from the archives under Art People, written by Douglas C. McGill. Their names are Ule and Marina, and their art is to sit at a table opposite each other for 7 hours at a stretch. The piece is titled Night Sea Crossing. It's one of dozens of performances, videotapes, and photographs that Ule and Marina have made during their 10-year partnership. They share the same birth date. They have individual art careers. This piece, though, Night Sea Crossing, where they sit across at a table and they stare at each other for 7 hours at a time, provides a far more sanguine metaphor for human relationships. The genesis of this piece, which Marina Abramovic and Ule have performed 85 times around the world, was a year-long trip to the Australian desert in 1980. During that year, they camped near Ayers Rock. Azaria Chamberlain, this 2-month-old baby, was killed on August 17th, 1980 at Ayers Rock. What are the odds of that? Okay, now I'll just run this down. This lady was found guilty. Cops were like, there's no way a dog would snatch your baby and we wouldn't recover anything. They searched all night. They even got an Aboriginal tracker. So the people that go out in the outback and they track animals, right, out in the desert, they got an Aboriginal tracker and didn't find them, right? Didn't find the baby that night. Remember, they got an Aboriginal tracker to go find the baby. It's in here somewhere. I'm not going to bother. Just take my word for it. That's what happened. This is that project they're talking about, Night Sea Crossing, performed between 1981 and 1986. And that's the picture. See, he's in a red jumpsuit and she's in a black dress. Get it? This is what they were up to. So this is the whole thing. There's the painting in the background I showed you with him in the red jumpsuit, red and black. Red and black. And in the middle of this table, they put something here. And this is what they put. I'll zoom in for you. This is what they put on the table. It is an Aboriginal Remember the Aboriginal tracker that went to go find the baby? It's an Aboriginal boomerang with gold encrusting on it, a bunch of gold they found out in the desert supposedly, with a snake, with a live boa snake on top of it. A snake on the boomerang, sitting in the middle of this art thing they did. And I think it is so that they can sit here and they can stare at each other for 7 hours at a time with that boomerang in the middle of the table, and they can put that between them and they can share this experience. I think that that's what this art piece is all about. I think this art piece is all about sharing the experience of murdering this baby. In the Aboriginal tracker, all this is hearsay. This is just my opinion. I don't have any proof, right? I have no proof of this. What are the odds, though, that one of the biggest murder stories, baby murder stories in the world, in the history of the world, happened at this place called Ayers Rock, and at the exact moment that that murder was happening, it just so happened that one of the most evil women on the planet was getting her career started. Aboriginal boomerang shows up in this, the red and black. Got it. No big deal. I'm going to keep moving on here. If you want to hear about this, if you want to get Hollywood's take on this subject, you can go watch Evil Angels. It's a film from 1988. It stars none other than, guess who? Meryl Streep. Okay, now I dug and dug and dug and dug and dug. I cannot find a picture of Meryl Streep and Marina Abramovic in the same picture. And I don't know why. It's almost like they've steered clear of each other because they know the same people. They're both in pictures with Hillary Clinton, right? They both run in Hollywood. And the crazy part is that Meryl Streep's husband, his name is Don Gummer. I bet you didn't know that. And Don Gummer is a highly paid, big deal artist, painter, and sculptor. And they go to these art galas, right? And then like 1 week, they'll have an art gala where Don Gummer goes to it in New York City. And then the very next week, or the week before it, Marina Abramovic will have a gala at the same museum. So I know these people know each other. And I think the connection is between the artist husband from Meryl Streep, her husband named Don Gummer, who's an artist, and he runs in the same circles Marina runs in. And it's weird that Meryl Streep wouldn't be in any of those pictures at like the spirit cooking stuff or the body, where they chop the body cake up and they consume the human body, right? It's just weird that Meryl Streep would never be at any of those places. I found that odd. But Don Gummer is plugged in, man. He's an artist, painter, and sculptor, so don't forget that. Here's Marina, just in case you didn't know who she was. I'm not going to show you the satanic stuff, right? It's kind of no point at this point, but I just want to show you that, like, they involve kids. Like, they're all about involving kids in these things. Just here's some pictures. Like I said, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find them together. She's all into snakes. I mean, this is the lead witch on the planet. Her, Marina Abramovic, Meryl Streep, and Hillary Clinton are the lead witches. That is who they are. More weird stuff with kids. I don't understand why all these people are standing around. Why is this interesting? Why is this a thing? What is she doing to this kid? Right? What are they doing? Are they connecting? He doesn't seem too happy to be there. This isn't the only one either. They set up that same table with the boomerang in the middle, and they put a kid on the other side. This is just a picture. I mean, it's something she does. I just want to point this out. Remember, this is the art exhibit that showcases all of it. Okay? Red and black, with the Aboriginal boomerang in the middle with a snake over it. Okay, now I make a big deal out of it because who dresses their kid in black and red? I don't know anybody. I've never seen a human being dress a child in a black dress with red ribbons and red shoes. There's the red shoes again, man. This is on the National Museum of Australia. This is a government website, so I'd say this is fairly trustworthy. Okay, so it says that the night baby Azaria Chamberlain was taken from a tent at Uluru, resulted in one of the biggest legal and media events in Australia in the 1980s. Now, the mother was eventually cleared for connection with the disappearance, but not before she served 3 years of prison for murder. I'm telling you, this lady did it. I'm positive she did it. So people brought up, like, why would you dress your kid in black with red shoes? That looks like kind of sacrificial stuff. You know, people caught this back in the 80s. And the lady says that this is a repurposed dress that she made for her son, and that's the reason why she has it. Can't make it up. It's like the worst excuse in the world. So I'll drop this in there. Okay, she later got divorced, and she was a member of the Seventh-day Adventists. I don't know much about them, right? But they were religious people. They were religious people. Here's talking about it. It says, she says, for Azaria's 6-week checkup, both of us were dressed in our matching black and red outfits. It was the first time I had ever taken her out publicly in a little black cotton dress I had made for Reagan, and it had caused quite a bit of comment. People either loved it or hated it. This is her son. She made it for a boy. She made a black dress for a boy. That's her excuse for this? It doesn't make any sense to me. What do you think? Now, the interesting part, I want to get this in there real quick. They did, it's in here somewhere. I can find it. Oh, let me drop this in here. If you go look up Azaria, Azaria just happens to be a moshav in central Israel. Serious. The moshav, called Azaria, was established on the land of the depopulated Palestinian village Al-Baria in 1949 by 25 families from Jerusalem as part of the From the City to the Village plan. If you think that Israel's telling the truth when they say that we don't run settlements, they were doing it the moment they got it. The moment the Rothschilds got Israel in 1949, they immediately started doing this. They depopulated all the Palestinians, and then they sent 25 families from Jerusalem in there to set up shop. And this one is called Azaria. And I've never heard a little baby named Azaria. Died at 2 months old, in the middle of the outback, with Marina Abramovic on site, and she was wearing a black dress with red booties. Not at the time of her murder. It was just, this is what was showcased as part of her clothing. So I'll just get to the point. Okay, I'm pretty sure Lindy and Marina Abramovic murdered this baby. And I'm pretty sure that she had been set up as a sacrifice before Marina went to Ayers Rock. I imagine this was set up before they even went to Australia. And I think that that's why they met up there. That's why this all happened. They blamed it on the dingo because it's an area where they already had dingo problems. But no one was ever killed by a dingo, and no child was ever taken. They said they caught a dingo trying to grab a kid out of a car seat one time, right? Like 2 weeks earlier. And that's how they got away with this. So the authorities weren't fooled initially, and Lindy went to prison. Now, the reason why she got out, check this out. The reason why she got out of jail was because they convicted her. They knew that she was guilty. And I imagine people like Marina Abramovic have high-placed people who can get things done. So they never recovered anything from the body. They never recovered any clothes. They never got the skull back. Look, I'm telling you, a lion on the Great Plains of Africa can't eat a human skull. So there was a lion attack 2 weeks ago where 3 poachers died. They were eaten by lions, and all they found was their shoes and their skulls. So animals cannot eat that skull, even a baby skull. I don't care how strong that dingo is. He's not a pit bull. You know what I'm saying? So you would still find the baby skull somewhere. There would be remains. There would be something somewhere, right? Nothing showed up. So once this lady goes to jail, she went to prison. They exhausted all of her appeals, and they figured out this chick was going to be in prison for life. Lo and behold, one of the bloody garments from the baby shows up at the site at Ayers Rock. It's just laying out in the open. I'll have to do a part 2 to this because there's more here. But they found someone saved a trophy. Someone saved a bloody piece of article of clothing from that baby as a trophy. They had it for 3 years, and whenever her appeals were up, Lindy's appeals were up, they went back out to Ayers Rock and they dropped it in the open so someone could find it. Now, there was no dingo saliva found on that article of clothing. No dingo saliva and no dingo DNA. And dogs eat with their mouths. So you tell me how that works. Anyway, she's out. She's walking around. They made a movie about her life. This is Bill Smith. Thanks for watching.
Piles of bones. Snakes. Blood splattered across walls. What you're looking at aren't scenes from a horror movie, but works from a so-called performance artist. An artist who also rubs shoulders with some of the most celebrated and influential figures in our society. Everyone from famous actors and musicians to DC power brokers and international financiers. Her name is Marina Abramovic, and her work has been featured everywhere from the Metropolitan Museum of Art to a Microsoft commercial. But who is she, and why does she possess such enigmatic appeal to the world's elite?
I am obsessed with this woman. She is so incredible.
It's time we investigate who really is Marina Abramovic. Marina Abramovic. They call her an artist, but what she does is shocking. Cutting herself, burning herself, and other such extreme and grotesque acts. Abramovic was born in the Serbian capital of Belgrade in 1946. Hers was a harsh childhood. Her mother, a Communist Party official and military veteran, was cold and oppressive.
I was so incredibly unhappy as a child. We never sit together as a family, we never talk together, we never had any kind of Christmas, New Year together. It was always very unpleasant and very tense situation. So there's something wrong with me. She was always thinking that I'm doing something wrong here, and she absolutely hated it. So this total control of my mother, total obsessional discipline which I had opposed of me, I had to have my own space. I have to kind of let it free.
Abramovic began her artistic career in the 70s while living in Serbia. She gained fame in the art world by performing extreme acts of endurance and pain, billing it as performance art.
But you might say that pain is Marina Abramovic's medium, and her message, deal with it. Back in 1973, she rhythmically jabbed the spaces between her fingers, at times drawing blood.
She almost died in 1974 when she laid inside a burning star, losing consciousness due to smoke inhalation. In another famous performance, she stood motionless for 6 hours while attendees were encouraged to freely interact with her in any way they please, using a variety of 72 items provided.
I was standing there in the middle of the space with this table with objects. I put the objects on the table very carefully chosen because the objects was for pleasure, and there was also the object for pain and objects that can bring you to death.
It was 6 hours of real horror, Abramovic recalled, saying, "They would cut my clothes. They will cut me with a knife, close to my neck and drink my blood, and then put plaster over the wound." The act ultimately resulted in a guest placing a loaded gun to her head. Her performances take on a distinctly dark and often occult feel, frequently blurring the line between performance and ritual. In the 90s, Abramovic started doing a work she dubbed spirit cooking. Spirit cooking later evolved into a form of dinner party that Abramovic occasionally puts on for collectors, donors, and friends. In 2016, spirit cooking became known worldwide after WikiLeaks released emails showing John Podesta, then presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, was invited to participate in this sick and bizarre event. The invitation was sent to John Podesta's brother, Tony, by the originator of spirit cooking, Marina Abramovic. The leaked email reads as follows: "I am so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Do you think you will be able to let me know if your brother is joining?" The act of spirit cooking, which Abramovic was so looking forward to, involves using pig's blood and sometimes consumption of bodily fluids as a way of connecting with the spiritual world, to cook up dark energies rather than food. It also, at times, involves other ritualized acts, such as cutting oneself. One spirit cooking recipe reads, "With a sharp knife, cut deeply into the middle finger of your left hand. Eat the pain." In this photo, Abramovic proudly displays the bandaged middle finger of her left hand. This YouTube video with over 2 million views shows Marina performing a version of spirit cooking at an art exhibit. She uses animal blood to write cryptic verses on the wall. In one grotesque scene, she pours a bucket of blood over an effigy of a child. She said she uses pig's blood because it is the closest to that of a human. Black magic groups including Santeria and Voodoo frequently use an effigy instead of the real thing in their workings. But in order to understand spirit cooking, we must take a look at Aleister Crowley and the religion of Thelema. Thelema is a pagan occult doctrine created by Satanist Aleister Crowley in 1904. In Thelema, the Eucharistic host is called a cake of light and is made from flour, bodily fluids, and sacred oils. This is known as spirit cooking. Thelema is an occult order that attracts many influential artists. A great deal of rituals are sexual in nature. Crowley himself was ran out of Italy in 1923 by Mussolini when word of the practices at his Thelema compound in the Sicilian countryside got out. A compound he named the Abbey.
As people at the Abbey continued to lose their inhibitions, the sex magic rituals Crowley asked them to perform became more and more extreme.
Probably the most controversial and lurid episode in the whole Cefalù period is the attempted copulation between one of his Scarlet Women, Leah Herzig, and a goat. Now, supposedly, at the time of orgasm, the goat was to mount Leah Herzig, and at the time of orgasm, it was to have its throat cut. You can wonder whether what he was trying to do was, A, to test the dedication of his disciples, to see how far he could push them.
The goat, the symbol, of course, of Satan. The normal man and woman is repulsed by this sort of thing, and we wonder what actually can bring human beings to this. And I think what had happened was that in the Abbey they had sated or satisfied so many of their appetites that all the time they were going just that bit further until eventually they were copulating with animals. And I suppose when you get to that stage, it is symbolic of the depth of evil.
Things started to go wrong at the Abbey. Crowley struggled with his growing drug addiction. Leah had a nervous breakdown, but what Crowley called the great work had to go on. Raoul Loveday was an Oxford graduate who broke away from his middle-class background and came to Sicily with his wife. He wrote to his parents that he was happier at the Abbey than he had ever been. But Loveday fell ill and died after allegedly drinking the blood of a cat sacrificed in a ritual. His wife left Sicily and went straight to the British press.
Crowley's little squalid piece of heaven collapsed due to one of the earliest tabloid attacks. Eventually, of course, it was Mussolini who kicked his little crew out.
Today, Marina Abramovic carries on his legacy. Abramovic has even developed a kind of training course she calls the Abramovic Method, which involves a form of sensory deprivation and dissociation. Those who subject themselves to her method must stand, sit, or lie motionless while wearing noise-canceling headphones and sometimes an eye mask.
So Abramovic experiment is a kind of summary of all different knowledge I have through the 40 years of my work to bring the public to the point of experimenting for themselves. We built 3 basic objects to create 3 basic positions of a human body. which is standing, sitting, lying.
All attendees of the Abramovic method must sign a contract saying they will stay for at least 2 hours.
Public have to sign the contract with me. They have to give me the word of honor. They will stay in installation without leaving for entire 2 hours. After this, I will give them certificate of accomplishment to thank them for the trust.
Lady Gaga is an Abramovic method graduate. Abramovic is also known for hosting bizarre events attended by celebrities and the wealthy. These events often include themes of dehumanization, humiliation, and even cannibalism. One such event inspired by Abramovic's work took place in the Hamptons in 2013 and was appropriately named Devil's Heaven. This sick party featured nude models covered in syrup, which wealthy guests were encouraged to eat off their bodies with spoons. Separate scenes included nude men and women running and hiding in the woods, bodies painted to look like objects, and other such degradation. Most disturbingly, children attended and witnessed it all. Abramovic was front and center, accompanied by Lady Gaga. Other guests included Hugh Jackman, Winona Ryder, and Alan Cumming. These images are from another event in 2011, the annual fundraiser gala for the Los Angeles Museum of Contemporary Art, put on by Abramovic. At this event, she made no attempt to hide the cannibalistic theme, as guests ate cakes designed to look like human bodies, with real people's heads on top. Low-paid female models were spread nude on the tables as live objects, while tickets went for $25,000, $50,000, or even $100,000. For those sitting at the round tables reserved for $100,000 ticket holders, like then California Governor Jerry Brown and Will Ferrell, the centerpieces were rotating platforms. Upon each, a live nude woman was covered with a life-sized human skeleton. Other celebrity guests included Debbie Harry of the band Blondie, Pamela Anderson, Kirsten Dunst, Nicole Richie, and Gwen Stefani. The cakes make more sense when one recalls the cakes of light used in Crowley's Religion of Thelema. If this is what the elite got up to in front of the camera, just imagine what depravity takes place in secret. Like many stars, Lady Gaga has repeatedly expressed her admiration for Abramovic and her work.
Our next question is by Marina Abramovic in New York.
I was just speaking about her today. I am obsessed with this woman. She is so incredible.
Her question for you is, it's quite abstract. Who creates limits?
We do. We create our own limits. She is a limitless human being.
Another Abramovic enthusiast is James Franco. Franco conducted an interview with Marina in 2009. Notice the look he gives the camera when he mentions that she will be feeding him dessert.
We're here to meet a different kind of performer, Marina Abramovic, and some people describe her as the grandmother of performance art, but tonight I think she's going to make me some dessert.
Franco also sat shirtless and allowed Marina to cover his body with honey and gold foil, the spiritual symbolism of which, although implied, is unclear. Kim Kardashian is another Abramovic fan. Kardashian is featured in numerous photos with Abramovic. But as time passed, events changed and the dust settled, the powers that be thought the public had forgotten about their favorite witch. But as Bill Gates and Microsoft found out, nothing could be further from the truth. It all started on Good Friday, April 10th, 2020, when Microsoft launched a new ad for their mixed reality headset, HoloLens 2. The ad starred none other than Marina Abramovic and focused on her and her quote-unquote art more than the headset itself.
This was a unique opportunity to take the most legendary artists working now and capture them in such a way that they are translatable forever.
I believe that art of the future is art without objects. It's just pure transmission of energy between the viewer and the artist. Here, I am kept forever.
The backlash from the public was immediate and intense. Angry viewers flooded Twitter demanding the ad's removal. On YouTube, the video garnered 26,000 dislikes and a little over 600 likes. Microsoft was forced to pull the ad completely and flat out refused to comment on the incident any further. But what is this mixed reality Abramovic is so excited about, and what artwork has she created with Microsoft's HoloLens 2? Mixed reality is a type of virtual reality that uses hardware such as Microsoft's HoloLens 2 to combine digital imagery with the real world. Abramovic created a mixed reality experience dubbed The Life. When users put on the headset, they experience a world entirely of her creation. A world she describes as dystopian and predicts will be reality in the future.
With virtual reality technology, players will be immersed in a dystopian world that seems increasingly likely to be the future of our planet.
In this virtual space, users see Marina trapped inside a tank as it slowly fills with water. Players can choose to save her or watch as she drowns. A sort of perverse 3D video game for the sick elite.
This video game will present players with the opportunity to save lives in urban landscapes, radically altered by catastrophic flooding. You're saving the human being and you're saving the planet, or you're not saving the planet and you make human being die, and the choice is only yours.
Christie's auction house plans to sell the work for over $700,000. Marina is the subject of many creative photo shoots, each with her unique artistic touch. In one image, she covers her face with two large boa constrictors, making sure to cover one eye. The serpent, of course, is laden with spiritual and occult symbolism. Others depict her with devil horns and holding up a severed and mutilated ram's head. But her most troubling photo shoots are undoubtedly those involving children. One shoot done in 2008 features Abramovic staring directly into the camera, while on her lap sits a child holding a gun. She said the work is designed to address the topic of violence. In another, a shirtless male child stands with his eyes covered by Abramovic, whose black-clothed figure towers menacingly over him. But if all the events, artwork, and depraved performances weren't blatant enough, Abramovic took it one step further and more or less confirmed everyone's suspicions when she posed for a picture with Jacob Rothschild himself in front of a painting of Satan. You cannot make this stuff up. The enormous painting entitled Satan Summoning His Legions was created by Thomas Lawrence and is featured in London's Royal Academy of Arts Museum. Jacob Rothschild is particularly relevant as he and the extraordinarily wealthy Rothschild family are key figures among the shadow elite. It has long been speculated by researchers that the secretive Rothschild family was the hidden force behind many world events.
A cursory search of the internet reveals a plethora of conspiracy theories. The Rothschilds are the hidden power which controls other well-known banks, such as Warburg's, Schroders, and Lazar's, as well as being behind American financiers such as J.P. Morgan, the Rockefellers, Kuhn, Loeb and Company, the Spires, and the Lehmans. not to mention the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve System. It might be thought that a serious banking history should scrupulously avoid reference to this kind of nonsense. Yet it is impossible to appreciate the need for a scholarly history of the subject if one blithely pretends such myths do not exist.
It was in a Rothschild mansion, after all, that Stanley Kubrick filmed the infamous party scenes in Eyes Wide Shut. The Rothschild Foundation lecture series even sponsored Abramovic, calling her one of the most important performance artists in the world. Jacob Rothschild rarely comes out of the shadows. Unlike other elites, he isn't photographed with celebrities or politicians, but he does pose with Marina Abramovic. And so it is not a mere coincidence that they pose together in front of a painting of Satan himself. The painting, completed in 1797, is based on a scene from John Milton's epic poem Paradise Lost, in which Satan calls to his compatriots crying, "Awake, arise, or be forever fallen." Are Abramovic and Rothschild suggesting that they are among such legions? Marina Abramovic was also closely connected to notorious Brazilian faith healer and now convicted human trafficker John of God. Juan Teixeira de Faria was a spiritual leader in the village of Abadiana, Brazil, who went by the name of John of God and performed a type of spiritual healing he called psychic surgery. He claims to have healed millions of followers since the 70s, but his real fame came when Oprah Winfrey featured him on her show. The series, since removed from Winfrey's website, was titled, "Do You Believe in Miracles?" It was later revealed that not only was Faria a serial rapist, he was actually running a baby farm in which pregnant women were kept chained to beds, their babies eventually sold on the black market.
He's known as John of God, a celebrity faith healer whose followers claim he can miraculously cure diseases such as cancer. But now, the once beloved guru is accused of sexually abusing hundreds of women. And that's not all. Horrific allegations of baby trafficking and murder have also surfaced in a case that's sending shockwaves around the world.
Marina Abramovic traveled to Brazil and filmed a documentary focusing on John of God and his cult.
Quarta-feira ela está comigo?
You're going to be here on the Wednesday?
É um compromisso.
Ela vai estar aqui.
Então vai sentar na correntinha.
So you
A
must
casa
be
é
here.
sua.
The house, the casa de Dom Inácio is yours.
Fica como médico.
You stay
Deixa
here
ela
as
sentar.
a medium and sitting in current.
The documentary, entitled The Space in Between, features Abramovic donning white clothing, meditating, and attending spiritual conferences with John of God. But we are to believe that she, like Oprah, had no idea what he was really up to. Abramovic has admitted, when asked by everyday people what she does, she often lies.
If I'm in the plane, sitting next to some jerk, I will say I am the nurse from New Zealand and I come to your country to discuss your health program or something. So nobody talk to me because it's so impossible to say to any human being what I'm exactly doing.
As for the allegations of occultism, Abramovic says she is not a Satanist, saying, quote, "Anybody who wants can read my memoirs and find out that my work is far from Satanism. But millions of people have examined her works and performances and come away deeply disturbed." When archaeologists and anthropologists want to understand a culture or a society, one of the first things they consider is its artwork. What does it say about us as a society that this is the artist we celebrate, put in museums, and call one of the greatest of her generation? One more interesting fact. Inspired by the beast in the Book of Revelation, Aleister Crowley dubbed himself the Beast 666. Abramovic's Twitter handle is Abramovic M666. Just a coincidence? I'll let you be the judge.
just one more person I had in mind for tonight was Meryl Streep. What do we know about that lady?
Well, Meryl Streep is one of the, she is known kind of, you know, we had mentioned like Gloria Vanderbilt was more of a face front person. And then we had Laurie Cabot Kent, who, you know, is very famous in the witchcraft world. So kind of the same thing with Meryl Streep. She is, you know, a very famous high priestess. She does tend to work in a triad, which means that she has other high-level witches that she works in operation with. You know, I don't know what else to say or that I can say right now, but, you know, it is, as we're unfolding things, you know, the concern grows more and more as to why are all these high-level high priests and priestesses, you know, investing so much in Africa. You know, what are they getting from that?
LA's elite cannibal restaurant boasts Katy Perry, Meryl Streep, and Chelsea Clinton as members. Do you see, by Baxter Dimitri for yournewswire.com. Do you see how they're trying to make this the norm, mind you? This is the New World Order. This is the corruption. This is the Satanism that they stand for. Yes, indeed. I wasn't believing it, but here you go, folks. What do Katy Perry, Meryl Streep, Anderson Cooper, and Chelsea Clinton have in common? They have all eaten human flesh at LA's notorious cannibal restaurant, Cannibal Club. The private restaurant has long operated under the radar in Los Angeles, with rumors circulating about who has attended and what is really served behind closed doors. Now, a leaked Cannibal Club document has exposed some of the notorious restaurant's elite, quote, patrons. Cannibalism more popular than you might think. Meryl Streep, Chelsea Clinton, and CNN's Anderson Cooper all hold Cannibal Club membership. According to the document, Katy Perry, who has previously said that cannibalism is way more popular than you might think, and human flesh is the best meat, is also a regular diner. Boasting that the restaurant is the cutting edge of experimental cuisine and serves LA's cultural elite, I should say Satanists, the Cannibal Club website makes clear they specialize in the preparation of human meat that comes from young and healthy bodies. Cannibal Club's visiting chefs hail from around the world and come to LA to practice their craft free of compromise and unbounded by convention, according to the Cannibal Club website. Filmmakers, intellectuals, and celebrities. Our exclusive clientele includes noted filmmakers, intellectuals, and celebrities who have embraced the Enlightenment ideals of free expression and rationalism. On event nights, avant-garde performance artists, celebrated literary figures, and groundbreaking musicians entertain our guests. At Cannibal Club, we celebrate artistic excellence as the natural and inevitable expression of the unbridled human spirit. Our staff, chef de cuisine, proprietor, and art director. Describing each dish as a study in taste and elegance, chef de cuisine Sophie Lafide explains the meat we serve is selected from the young and healthy, consistent with the practice of cannibalism in many primitive societies. We view anthropophagy. I'm not used to all this stuff. Anthropophagy as homage to the dead who are reborn into the bodies of their consumers. Really? But don't you think? Don't think you can just walk in there and check the place out? The private restaurant operates a strict vetting policy, according to the website. It is necessary for us to operate privately and to vet our members in order to avoid disruption from the less enlightened human meat menu. The current menu listed on the site includes sirloin steak, human meat, flame broiled 8 ounces, liver and mushroom pierogi, a Russian version of pierogies baked rather than boiled, with a savory filling of wild mushrooms and human liver, and placenta lasagna, an otherwise traditional lasagna with 1 layer of cheese substituted by minced placenta in heirloom tomato sauce, seasoned with garlic, onion, and oregano. Whenever a taboo is broken, something good happens, something vitalizing. Elspeth Blake, the Cannibal Club proprietor who claims to have earned her stripes working under Vincent Sardi Jr. in New York, did not immediately respond to our questions regarding where the human flesh comes from. Young and healthy bodies. In the FAQ section of the website, Cannibal Club claims most of the businesses and institutions who supply us prefer to keep those relationships discreet. On the individual level, bodies are often bequeathed to us. For some, this is a way to supplement life insurance and offset funerary expenses. For others, such as Cannibal Club members Gwendolyn Fenwich, who was served to her friends and relatives at the club in January of 2008, being prepared as a meal and thereby reborn into the bodies of the living is an attractive alternative to the more traditional practices of burial and cremation. The revelation that Hollywood royalty, pop stars, and cable TV anchors consume human flesh when they are in Los Angeles is merely the latest example of public figures being exposed as dark figures, reveling in the darkness. I mean, I'm losing my mind just reading this. I can't believe what I'm reading. Jay-Z described Jesus Christ as the original fake news. Late in 2017, Miley Cyrus said "Hail Satan" on live radio and claimed she has a closer relationship with the devil than with her earthly father. Billy Ray Rihanna was caught telling children in Barbados that if Jesus hasn't answered your prayers, try praying to Satan. Just last week, Chelsea Clinton told her Twitter followers that Satanism is a religion, quote, that deserves respect. These incidents have sparked fears around the world that the Illuminati have moved on to the next phase of their master plan and have begun openly promoting dark spirituality as a viable religious choice for those seeking guidance. Do you see what we're saying? Why did I call them Satanists? The more you look into this stuff, the more you see they're evil. And it is frightening, actually. It is frightening. And then Chelsea tried to deny that she has ties to the Church of Satan, right? And here she is now. I mean, what do you make of this stuff? I mean, it's like, I don't know what to say. I'm what? Like, that's what I'm saying. What? You know, you hear about this, but you don't believe it. And now, look, and it's like a dungeon. The place looks like a dungeon underground. And don't tell me that they, you know, I mean, I don't want to go into this, but you know, you can put the pieces of the puzzle together. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.